Take two.
Delay of game.
Penalty on the Irishman, 10 yards. So for those of you wondering what's going on, I started the show without going live. I was about 20 seconds into my intro, and Lauren goes, "Brian, we haven't gone live yet."
We just like the theme tune. That's why.
Yeah,
so.
That's it. But in the meantime, it's also allowed Graham to join us as well.
Yep, snuck in through the back door as well. So
that's it. So, gentlemen, how are you both doing?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad. You there, Graham?
We're not hearing you, Graham.
That's what you need. You need to come in early and get your get your audio working.
Go on, Graham. No, we're still not getting you. Graham, you're getting absolutely hammered here in the comments from Labarsky and Joe. So we leave it with you for a second just whilst you're sorting that out. But Lauren, in kind of big news for tomorrow, obviously the Cowboys are gaining about 10.5 million in cap space. Yeah. Ezekiel Elliott will officially no longer be a Dallas Cowboy.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the door's not closed. Obviously, he's not signed for anybody else. But this is just this is the point. We all knew it's coming, and there's no going back on it now. We know that this is when we get the money, and everybody suddenly thinks if you look at over the cap at the moment, you're suddenly going to jump from something about 10, 15 million at the moment to 20, 25 million. Everybody thinks, oh, that means we can re-sign him, and we can re-sign him, but a lot of that money is obviously going to be required for, the people that we are going to have to re-sign in the next couple of months, and then obviously that's on the pre-season formula. As soon as you get out of training camp and you go to the 53, the whole formula changes all again, and that all gets withered away as well with performance bonuses and everything like that. So but I mean, it'd be nice to see Zeke back. He obviously he's putting the videos out showing that he is going. There's been a lot of smoke and mirrors where a lot of GMs saying, well, we're not going to touch him, we reckon he's lost the step and all that sort of stuff. But we need to see how it goes, to be honest. But
Labarsky is dropping the hammer and saying, sign him for 1 year, 10 million. I mean, I don't think that's going to happen.
No, that'd just be wiping everything out. So a saving of 800,000 or so, but
yeah. Graham, are you picking us up at all yet? No. So I'll throw the question across to you anyway, Lauren. Would Zeke sign for the vet minimum with incentives to maybe get more money?
At this stage, it probably benefits him to wait until training camp now, actually, to sign on with somebody, because obviously there will be injuries that happen in pre-season. Obviously we've seen things in recent years where, obviously that became the starter because 1 minute Kellen Moore breaks his foot and then Tony Romo goes down in week 3 of the preseason and all that sort of stuff. So you will see injuries, and then that will be a case of needing to sign somebody then. So, and then you can sort of negotiate your own price, sort of thing. But I mean, by all accounts, you've got Dalvin Cook about to hit the market as well. You know, there's a few other choices. So, you know, it's 50-50. Does he choose to take an incentive-laden contract now, or does he wait and, you know, hope somebody comes knocking during training camp? And of course, obviously, the longer he's holding out, or not holding out, but with, you know, waiting for everything, he's sitting there. You know, he's getting fresher as well, and he's able to work on his skills. So,
yeah. Graham, you picking us up at all? No.
it's like Charlie Chaplin.
He's going to come in a second, and he's just going to it's going to be a very typical. It's going to be Graham is going to drop an absolute perler of wisdom on top of us.
He's going to have the Love Actually flashcards in a minute.
But did I? Oh, Joe. But the other big the other big news this week, obviously DeAndre Hopkins has been released by the Arizona Cardinals. There's a lot of people who would be interested in him landing in Dallas. He's been working in Dallas off season.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time.
And you know, like, Dallas has cap room. He said he wants to go to a team that's going to contend for a Super Bowl. So, what are your own thoughts on maybe bringing in Hopkins? Does he fit?
I'm in two minds about this as well. That, you know, again, as I think when we had Tom Ryle on the podcast a few weeks ago, you know, he said that in order to have three good receivers, you really need a fourth one pushing up the depth chart as well and increasing the competition. But, you know, again, you've only got so many guys that you've got on to bring onto this roster. We've got a lot of question marks on this offense in terms of, you know, obviously we put draft capital in Jalen Tolbert. Obviously, you want to see he's obviously learned that he needs to get in with Dak, and he has spent the time with Dak in the Dak yard this offseason, and he's been at a couple of the events that Dak's been doing as well. So it sounds like he's, you know, trying to form that relationship with Dak so that they look for each other on the field and get game time. Obviously, Hopkins would be a good receiver because, you know, he's got quite a catch radius as well. So Dak doesn't have to necessarily be on the money with the catches as well. But you've only got one ball to go around. You've already got three guys that effectively have an ego as well. And I wouldn't say no, but, you know, it'd be interesting. I really don't know whether we do go it. I don't know if he's worth spending that money for one or 2 years, and he's a progress stopper for anybody behind us.
Graham, are you with us?
Yes.
Yes! Graham, is the juice worth the squeeze with DeAndre Hopkins? Would you bring him in?
No, because I agree with Mike. He doesn't suit Dak. I don't think he suits Dak. I think we've got way too many receivers or cooks, if you want to take my pun. I mean, do you want Michael Gallup to be number 2? Do you want Jalen Tolbert to get more game time and more experience? You've got to decide. There's a reason the Cardinals moved on from him, and it wasn't because he was scoring 15 touchdowns a year. That's the way I see it.
Yeah. Very fair point. And Graham, like obviously we were getting Lauren's thoughts on it. Obviously tomorrow we're getting the Zeke money made available to us. You know, what are your own thoughts on that? Do you think they're going to spend it on a free agent? Do you think it's going to be used for the contracts? Because obviously there's a raft of contracts which have to get done.
Without a doubt, the contracts. Yeah. Lamb, Parsons, the others escape my memory just now, but we've so many big contracts coming up. And I do not want another Byron Jones. Because Lamb maybe not want to be highest paid. I don't think he'll be able to ask for that. His agent will certainly give it a best shot. Diggs will want, I think Trayvon Diggs will want top 10 money. Maybe not highest paid. I don't know. I don't. I mean, I wouldn't say he's the best cornerback in the league, but his agent will want to push that. There's too much for me. There's too much rolling of the dice to call Diggs top 3, top 5, maybe. Don't get me wrong, he's a great cornerback. And what a find in the second round. But is he top 5? I'm not sure. But I would say he's certainly top 10.
I'm just seeing a lot of comments coming in, and I'm going to throw this to both of you. Obviously, Terrence Steele is also another deal that's out there that possibly needs to be done. Tony Pollard, he's on the tag this year. That's possibly another deal that they want to get done. Would you risk signing both of them to long-term deals now, knowing both of them are after coming off, 6 months to a year-long injury?
I think with Tony Pollard, you're probably going to go the Dalton Schultz route. You may try and sign him this off season, try and get that cap number down so that you got more space again. But you do have the question marks. He's coming back off, and obviously when he came off the field, it was reported he had a broken leg. The break itself will be fine. The operation that he had, though, was to do with ligaments, and that's the question mark now. He's been interviewed today. He says he is ready to go. He's been limited in some of the drills, and he's just playing smart with it. But he's saying he's running and cutting faster than he ever has. Now, again, we're in the time of BS and pump everything up, but. It certainly looks like he's going to be fit, and we are going to get a full season, or he's going to be there for the start of the season anyway. But it may just be a case you sit and hold fire on that and roll with the punches. You either move on, or you maybe end up paying a little bit more, but you're certainly not going to end up paying Zeke money for him unless he breaks 2,000 yards this season or something like that. And as we've seen, teams are able to get good running backs in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. So you maybe take somebody next year. And, again, we might develop Juice Vaughn. You might develop Malik Davis. Although question mark again is, why did Malik Davis not get in when Tony Pollard went down in the NFC divisional game? You never saw anything there. Was that to do with Kellen Moore, or is will the new coaching staff bring him in or whatever? We just need to see how that goes.
Graham, give us your thoughts on a new deal for Terrence Steele. Do you think that's something they're going to target, or do you think that's maybe something that they might look to after the end of the season?
Yeah, you don't want to mess about with offensive line. We'll see how the injury is. I wouldn't pay silly money, but I would certainly offer him starter money. 3-4 years. what that starter money is, I'm not sure. It's probably 10 to 15 at right tackle. But I'm not gonna compete to keep him. I would offer him good money, but not. I mean, I'm going to say all this, and he'll go ahead and have a Pro Bowl season, and we'll lose him. We'll lose him to whoever has most cap space likelihood, which is great for us, right enough for this season. I wouldn't compete to keep him, but I would try to keep him. We've just got so many deals. We've just got so many deals to do.
Yeah. Obviously, as you can see there, just in the screen underneath me, Paul has joined in with us. So, Paul, we were just kind of talking about the fact, obviously, we're getting Zeke's money. It becomes available tomorrow. You know, we were talking, say, about some of the deals need to get done. Would you bring in a veteran, or, you know, are you going to assign that for the deals for CeeDee Lamb, for Trayvon Diggs, get Tony Pollard done, get Terrence Steele done? So what are your own thoughts?
Okay, so off the top of the bat, I'm already thinking secure CeeDee Lamb, secure Diggs. When it comes to the other running backs, etc., like we've seen this time and time over again with other teams in the NFL. They have like a running back by committee. They've got younger guys and smaller contracts, just putting it in for a rotation system. Like, don't stick them down to, like, it's like Mike says, you're going to get the best 4 years in their rookie contracts anyway. So for me, it's a no-brainer for me. Like, I would try and like improve the things that does keep the glue together within the team, like Diggs, Lamb, and like Graham's kind of mentioned, like a Terrence Steele, like not pay over the odds for him, get him signed up to like a 3-year deal type of thing that's somewhat team friendly. But in regards to the running backs, I definitely think we're in this approach now, because we kind of brought this fun in. What means to say next year we're going to draft another running back next year, then the year after. So it's like continuous loop, and we saw it with Kansas City, and we saw it with the Eagles last year. So I don't see why not. It cannot work for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, obviously the show tonight, we said we're doing the positional breakdown of the running backs. So we're going to go top to bottom on this. Obviously, look, Tony Pollard is as things stand, running back one. You're on the hook this year for 10.1 million for him, unless they can get a long-term deal done before July, or they're just going to run him into the ground this year and be done with him. So, you know, what are your own thoughts, folks? You know, is that the plan for you, or what do you think?
Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think it is a case we are sort of going to that running back by committee. Obviously, you knew, or in the case of this front office, we knew we were moving on from Zeke because you at least wanted to give Zeke, do right by him and actually give him the opportunity to go and see if there was another team that was willing to pick him up, and then you can bring him back, rather than saying let's give you a pay cut and keep you on. So I think when you're having to clear out your top level, you know, you need to at least keep some sort of a continuation in the building. So I think again that's why we've gone with Tony Pollard, and we've franchise tagged him. Again, if we don't get the deal done, you run him into the ground and you see what.
Sorry, Lebarski just made a B-John.
Big Lebarski's he's fishing for me tonight. I can tell.
Yeah.
Well, what can we say, Graham? You have been missed, so.
As we say, Graham and Lebarski have never been seen in the same room together.
I know.
I will say, however, if B-John Robinson's having an absolute stinker, then I'll be more than happy to trade up for 4th rounder for B-John. That's all I'll say for that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the 2 Super Bowl teams were running back by committee.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
it can be done.
I mean, you could also say, like, would you say San Francisco's that as well?
Not since they traded for Christian McCaffrey.
Not
They
with
they
McCaffrey.
traditionally would have been by committee.
True.
Like you always had say Juszczyk could get you 400 yards. They'd have running back get you 600-700. They'd have another one get you 500.
And
So they always had that. But
and yeah, because like in recent years, like even with the flaws that Jimmy G had and stuff like that, they were always like had a good playoff run or get past the wild card and are in the NFC Championship game or whatever and stuff like that. So I just find it very interesting because we're seeing ton of the type of other teams like Tennessee, they're looking to offload Derrick Henry and stuff like that. Like all those type of things, like are they going to do the exact same scenario by looking to go more towards a running back committee as well?
Yeah,
I mean,
Sorry,
the Bengals went to the Super Bowl with who?
There you go.
I mean,
Joe Mixon and
Joe Mixon, JP, right?
Yeah,
Mixon's good, but he's not a stud. He's not going to the Pro Bowl, not in my opinion, anyway.
Don't tell fantasy people that, Greg.
Don't get me started with PFF either.
If you're talking about a star running back for fantasy football, yes. But overall, like, he'll put points on the board, but he's not like he's not a full-on 3-down back.
Yeah,
like,
and the way you're saying there, Paul, about a 3-down back. Is this not the concern with Tony Pollard being
100.
Your running back one? He's
100%.
never been a 3-down running back.
100%. Whether Tony Pollard, if I can speak, if Tony Pollard can do it, that's the question itself. But even more so, is he going to be the same running back coming back from this injury? That just leaves more question marks, and this is why, like, as much as I really do like Tony Pollard, there is some serious questions regards to the contract, this franchise tag, and the ability of him to actually be on the field and being the same player. It's a big gamble we're putting on this. Really big gamble.
Yeah.
I mean, if like everyone hammered Zeke in the last couple of years because he was taking up, say, 10, 12, 14 million of the cap each year, and his rushing yards were going down, his touchdowns were staying relatively the same. But I mean, is Tony Pollard going to give you that kind of yardage? Is he going to give you those hard-fought touchdowns that Zeke is going to give you? Or is it going to be through that running back by committee approach that you're going to make up the numbers?
It really depends. Like, let's just not remember our offensive line, especially in the inside, especially during the inside run, has holes in it, and that was primarily the problem that we had. Whether it was going to be Zeke or Tony Pollard, if they're running down the middle, the likely chance of them getting past beyond the line of scrimmage was 50-50. But for the likes of Zeke, though, you're almost guaranteed for him to get past over the line of scrimmage to get those nasty yards. Yeah, that's what he was brought in to do. Like, and I will back Zeke 100% no matter what, because for what he's done and how he's developed, like, he's not the elusive type of running back that when we first brought him. Yes, he's become more that type of power style running back who is not afraid to take on the hits and keep the feet going forward. Like, that to me speaks volumes for itself. Like, with him, like, you're having that 1-2 punch combination, you're throwing all your jabs with Zeke, and you're throwing the left, like you're throwing your straight right or whatever and that with Pollard, and he will be basically the knockout punch. And but with him being the knockout punch, obviously the more cameras are going to be saying, "Oh, Tony Pollard's great," which he is, but it does take away the attention of, like, okay, is no one not talking about what Zeke's done, even though he's not up to his usual standard in terms of statistics. But let's just not remember here, Zeke is still, without a doubt, the best pass protecting running back in the NFL, without a doubt. Like, also the fact that he's adapted into different types of offenses under Stuart Linehan and under Kellen Moore. He's adapted, and he's still managed to. And Labarsi just brought the comment out. He's managed to still get 12 goal line touchdowns. Again, that's short yardage. The ones when you really needed the run game at its peak.
Yeah, and you got to hark back to, I think it was the Houston game last year where.
Please, Lord, don't remind me of that game.
Yeah, but if
I was there.
I think it was Houston that Tony Pollard, they ran him on first, second, and third down, and then they brought Zeke in on fourth down to score the touchdown. From the 2-yard line, and Pollard couldn't pound it in. So that does give you a little bit of concern. But the other way to look at it as well, you're from the coaching point of view, is you're taking a more considered stance this year. You've got a guy that was in charge of or an assistant offensive line coach last year, who's now basically the running game coordinator and running backs coach as well. So it seems to be that they want to be more coordinated with the running game. If you can get the running backs going in the same direction as the offensive line and knowing what the offensive line is doing, and through that coaching, maybe it will be better. What you've got to remember as well, Pollard, when he came out of college, shared the backfield with Darnell Robinson. So he doesn't have he doesn't necessarily have the me sort of personality that some running backs probably have, and he will share the backfield with people. And he's not got the tread on the tires because he has shared the backfield. He's not been the workhorse back until now. So he knows he's gone into this off season. He knows that he is the number one guy at the moment, and he should be ready for that. And as I say, he's playing it easy with the OTAs at the moment. I mean, I think Mike McCarthy is really worried about losing any more money at the moment as well, and losing any more OTAs for next season. So this OTAs does seem to be very low tempo, just get the installation right, and there's not the physicality that they've had in the last couple of OTAs. So
yeah, I just want to bring up what you were just saying about like the coaches and that, like from the offensive line assistant coach to the running back coach and stuff like that. I think you need to give McCarthy credit here. Like, he's noticed what our weakest points have been from the coaching side, and he's made adjustments. Like our strength side, he's kept the ball rolling. Dan Quinn, etc. Aidan Dudley, done. Kept the name on board, and he's obviously noticed, okay, what was our biggest weakest part? Like, even though we were somewhat successful in increments throughout the season, but there was just no consistency. So, new offensive coordinator, new offensive line coach with fast more experience can actually help, like, communicate with the running back coach to get that continuity within the coaches, not just so much the players, but just the continuity with the coaches. I think that will be a big, massive difference this season.
Yep.
So, any final thoughts before we move on from Tony Pollard?
It feels like you're wearing a Riddler suit with all the question marks right now. That's it. Yeah. That's how I feel with Tony Pollard. And I feel like I'm not the Riddler, but I feel like I'm wearing a suit when you ask me the question, Tony Pollard for 2024 season. 2023, sorry. Getting my years mixed up. I'm just like, is it going to work? Is it too expensive? Did they make the right choice? Blah, 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 blah. I'm just not sure what to make of it right now.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he hasn't been offered 3 years, 45 million. Because they're not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's never been asked to do it before.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's like all the weight on Paul is on him right now. Like, he's coming back from an injury. He's on like a big contract. If he plays and balls out, great. But is Dallas willing to sign him to a new deal when other teams be like, oh, we might actually have an opportunity. We might have more cap space to take a guy like that. and maybe next year's draft might not have a good running back like Bijan, for example, we might just take Tony Pollard instead, and Dallas will be like, So if anything, I think this could be more damaging to Dallas in the future more than anything, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Just thinking going forward.
Yeah. So the next guy we have on the list is a new face for 2023. I'm not sure if he's going to make the roster or not. Is Ronald Jones. We've brought him in. He spent time last year with Kansas City. Didn't play very much. He only had 40 snaps. You're looking at 1.1 million on the cap.
That's just
it's
nothing.
very easy. It's a very easy cut if you want to make it. If the other guys we're going to talk about ball out behind him. So, what are your thoughts on Ronald Jones?
I think it's a good experience. A guy that's been with multiple teams. He's played with some really good quarterbacks, good offensive lines. He can certainly bring something to the table for sure. Whether he's past his sell-by date as a running back, again, that's the question mark on Jones. I'm pretty sure he still has the ability. If he's given the opportunity, I'm sure he'll do well. But even just him here, OTAs, and him with the other running backs during film and stuff like that, I thought that can be even if it doesn't make the team, I think with him just being here will provide some incredible words of wisdom to Alexa Deuce Vaughn and etc. and Malik Davis.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've brought him in mostly for the sort of experience that he's got. Obviously, he's been on 2 Super Bowl teams, so there's that point of view. It's giving some guidance to these. We don't have a roster full of guys with rings, and generally the players that we go and sign in free agency, you don't bring in guys that have got Super Bowl rings because you got the ego that goes with that and the understanding of. But you've brought somebody in that can teach the team, be a serviceable piece as well. I mean, he is no slouch. He has sort of averaged about 750 yards a season. So
that's still fairly decent in all perspective. That's still part, like when you think about it as part of that running back by committee for those 16 to 17 games a season, that's still a good chunk of running back like usage. And I think it's quite funny. It's just when it comes to like having Super Bowls, it's like when you think of the Dallas Cowboys players, when you think of the Dallas Cowboys players with Super Bowls recently, it's normally when they leave the Cowboys they get the Super Bowl recently. So I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, I just realised, Paul, Ronald Jones has more rings than the entire offense put together.
Yeah, probably the whole team. The whole team.
Yeah.
Like the only person he doesn't beat is obviously the Jones family, and that's it.
Stephen Gilmore.
Sorry, you're right. No, you're right. Sorry.
Cooks doesn't have a ring.
Forgot about Gilmore. Which I may add, that is a great signing. Again, experience. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's been under Belichick. Blah blah blah. But we'll talk about that when it comes to the corners.
Yeah. Like, Graham, I'll throw this to you. Is Rojo being brought in to kind of help you in that goal-to-goal situation, that kind of power back that can go between the tackles rather than the elusive back, which Tony Pollard is, who'll go outside of the tackles?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's that, and there's also to make sure that they have the best 3 available, as opposed to just like going with, like if Vaughn, for instance, if Vaughn isn't the type of player they thought he was going to be. Remember, Jones isn't over the hill. Jones is only 25. According to Wikipedia, he's only 25 years old, and he's played 3 years in the Bucks on the Chiefs. Obviously, he's signed for us. So $1 million isn't that much. Like if he's running back number 3, they're going by committee, so they're obviously looking for guys that can contribute on an off game business, like maybe he'll show up 1 week and he'll disappear for 2 and he'll show up again and so on. That's pretty much what he's been. Fantasy players will know that you don't rely on Ronald Jones to, you bring out a Ronald Jones type in when you've lost one running back and another's on his bye, for instance.
I just love Labas's comment. If that was the case, we could do something what McFadden did for us, is that comeback season. That would be special. That would be special.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll just pick up on DJ Dog there. I don't think Brandon Cooks does actually have a ring. He's been in two Super Bowls, but he's been on the losing side of both of them. So
one was the Rams and one was the Patriots, right?
Yeah. It's not recorded in Wikipedia either.
Yeah. So, look, the next guy, and we've kind of mentioned his name a couple of times, is Malik Davis. I think, Lauren, it was you that said it recently that even when he was available in the San Francisco game, he wasn't brought in. I think someone else in the comments has said there are character or maturity issues with Malik Davis. He has all the ability, but went undrafted. And maybe that's why is that character and maturity issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously from listening to Brian Broaddus during the draft process this year, he was saying that, very few people had actually picked out Malik Davis last year. He was a relative unknown from one of the Florida schools, hardly got on the field, much like Tony Pollard. He was sharing a backfield. He wasn't the feature back in college. And a lot of draft scouts had actually bypassed him. And I think because he then suddenly got on to the Cowboys roster, made the regular season roster, got in a couple of games, had some success as well. I think that went to his head. Maybe this benching for the divisional game, not getting in when you needed a running back, perhaps that will help focus him. And obviously, I mean, he was a rookie last year. Maybe with a little bit more experience, he'll be more of a team player this year. If that is the case, that he was held out because of that. But I just think that, he certainly provided a burst last season. I mean, when Zeke was out and it was just Pollard and Davis, they had quite a good 1-2 punch together. Similarly, when Pollard was out for a game, Zeke and Malik Davis had a good 1-2 punch as well. So he does seem to be a complementary back, a change of pace, as it were, or whatever. But if he can build on last season, then he might force Tony Pollard off the roster for 2024. Keep him on for the next season, and go with him as well. But again, there's a lot of question marks with him.
I will say though, if in terms of the style, right? So and this is based on last season, so you had the more power style with Zeke, you had the very elusive side of Tony Pollard. The way I'm kind of seeing Malik Davis, he's like a slight combination of the two combined. He was like the happy medium. You can put him as the outside guy, but he can still run inside to get those 30 yards. Like he's there as a good utility-based running back. I think he will always be a number 2 or a number 3 running back. I don't think he'll ever be that starter per se. But I definitely think like the character issues, whatever or not, that's the question marks really. But it's how he's going to grow from that and how he's going to take on board with the new offensive scheme that we're going to go ahead. Is it going to be very complimentary to him, even Pollard and Vaughn, like all the guys, and even Luke K, the fullback, how we're going to utilize him as well. So it's so many question marks with regards to how we're going to go, because it's a completely new territory we're going into this season. Like in general. So, and this is just a word that's just been utilized quite a lot going into this season, even with the draft. The word is interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it has the potential to be something great, or it could be a potential just being the same things it was before. I can't imagine it being any worse, if I'm being honest. I can't see it being worse, unless the whole O-line decides to fall apart.
Yeah.
But let's just
that's for another show.
That's for another discussion. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Brian.
Mike, I'm just like, I have Mike's article open here in front of me, and Mike is quite high on Malik Davis. He reckons Malik Davis, if he doesn't get 200 touches and 800 yards, then it would be a disappointing season for Malik Davis. Do any of the three of you concur with that? Do you think he can be that kind of a player?
I would say if he gets 600, that would be a good success.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't say 800 though. I wouldn't say 800.
I mean, 800. Yeah, if we are talking about changing the focus so that we are more run oriented, where we're talking about that, as opposed, and almost, we were talking last week with the quarterbacks that you want to take the pressure off Dak and not have to throw all the time to keep them in games. We want to be able to run this ball. Then 600 to 800 yards would be great production from Malik Davis. It's certainly doable. Question marks are if we are bringing anybody else in, or with this training camp roster, because as we say, there's a lot of potential candidates coming onto the market soon. Dalvin Cook, Derek Henry, that sort of thing as well. I don't see us dipping the toe in with those guys, but
I personally would not want to invest in those guys, to be perfectly honest. Like it would just be enough financial burden. Yeah, they're talented, but it's gonna hit you bad when it comes to the future. You're not going to be able to afford your future luxury players. It could be on the defensive side of the ball or another star wide receiver, for example. So it's all about balancing the books end of the day now. Like, and that's what it really is.
Or heaven forbid, a kicker.
Well, we need a kicker. That Vizcaino's missed another 2 kicks.
Wait, Brian, if you're not held, I'm trying out, mate. I'm trying out. my left foot can kick a absolute ankle, mate.
Well, you see, Harry Kane's been kicking 50 yards.
Oh, no. Harry Kane in the NFL, Jesus. Oh,
right.
I'm sure he has the chin for it.
Yeah,
he must have. But how old would he be if he retires from playing professional soccer, which I didn't realize is actually the word soccer was actually invented here in England, in the UK. I didn't realize that. I thought we were wrong, but it turns out the Americans were right. Yeah. So who knew?
Yeah. TJ Dog is just asking the question there. Can Malik Davis be a short yardage runner?
Yes.
Yep.
He could. And like, I've seen a couple of comments and people are kind of asking about Lupke, and it may come down to a decision, and we'll chat about this once we've gone through everything. It may be a decision between Malik Davis, Rico Dowdle, and Lupke as to who's kept on. It could be one from those three. And the next, as we say, look, the next guy we have on the list is Rico Dowdle, who's been with the Cowboys now for 3 years. Again, 1 million against the cap. It's not big money. It's an easy cut if they don't want to keep him on, and they're getting better out of Davis. They're getting better out of Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah, I think this is just an insurance policy. You've had the experience from him. You know what you've got. And he has been a good returner as well. 2 years ago, last year he was on the practice squad for some of the time. But I think, to be honest, his days are numbered. Again, the coaching staff has changed significantly. I think he harks back to the Garrett administration to begin with. He's then been brought on, and you know, McCarthy's gone with him for a couple of years, but it's perhaps time to move on unless he can actually produce in training camp this year.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you there, Lon. That's pretty much how I kind of feel about Dildo right now. He probably is, like DJ Dog just mentioned there, he is the biggest running back in the group that we have right now. But not all big running, like, it's how you utilize it. You don't like you've got guys like Derrick Henry who knows how to use his size and strength and stuff like that. Dildo is not like that at all. Like, completely opposite. So I think Dildo is definitely played for his roster spot for sure in this upcoming season.
Yeah, Ronald Jones makes the team before Dowdle. There'd had to be a couple of serious injuries for Dowdle to make the team.
Right. So how would like, well, obviously we wouldn't do this fun, but are we going to do like a wee ranking of how we would do?
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that once we've only two guys left to go. So obviously, look, Paul, I know how excited you are to talk about him. So tell us about the Deuce getting loose.
Deuce Vaughn, the shortest running back to be ever drafted since the NFL Combine started. I mean, starting at 5'5", man, like arm length 27.34 inches, handspan 9.15, run a 4.5, split time of 1.5, 20-yard split 2.6, 20-yard shuffle 4.22. Last year for Kansas City, 1,295 yards in 12 games. 2021, 1,404 with 18 touchdowns in 13 games. So his ability as a running back is fantastic. People are just like using this whole narrative of him being too small, blah, blah, blah. He should be penalized to get drafted later. I think this could be one of the biggest steals it could ever happen for the Cowboys, potentially, because we know how electrifying Vaughn could be. You saw that in the championship game in college, how effective, how you utilize him, how effective he can be. So, and I think he really complements the style of offense that we're going to be approaching with for sure. So he's definitely, I think he'll potentially be our number 2. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think of all the running backs that came out in the draft this year, I think his numbers were right up there alongside guys like Bijan and what have you. 5,800 yards, total all-purpose yards over the 3 years that he was at Kansas State. You know, and yeah, he's small, but you know, again, he's comp him to Darren Sproles, the former Philadelphia Eagle, boo. But I mean, he adds an element. I mean, we haven't truly been a screen team since the days of Tom Landry. But this is a guy that you could probably use as a screen. You know, again, at Kansas State, he was being used as a wide, you know, much like we talk about Tony Pollard, you can flex him out into the slot. You can line him up as a running back and swing him out into the slot. And, you know, he'll be able to take these flare passes as well that, unfortunately, last year, the number of times Dak threw it to Zeke and Zeke dropped the ball, you're not going to see that with Deuce Vaughn. And then he does have the escapability to break tackles and get away and make yardage after the catch, which is what this West Coast offense is all about. It's get the yards after catch, and that's how your offense works.
Just to add on top what you're saying there, Lauren, you need to think about the offensive line as well. It's like the guys we brought in, like Tyler Smith, etc., Terrence Steele, they're probably the more athletic type of guys that we do have. And obviously, how this offensive line, but we've got an offensive lineman coach who has done the West Coast offense on numerous occasions with different teams. He's like had over 30 years experience being an offensive lineman coach. So he's seen he's been there, he's done everything. So he'll know what to do to help accommodate that for the running backs. Because everyone knows if you're running a screen pass, the offensive linemen are not essentially going to block, depending on what side you are. If you're on the weak side, you're going to block. So therefore, there's no leak in the backfield. And all the guys on the strong side, they're going to just move upfield and actually help protect and help Vaughn get upfield. Like it's kind of like it's writing a blueprint for what we're kind of doing here in a way for Vaughn. But yeah, I just think with this Vaughn, with him, his size as well, and maybe going to have a wee bit of a different tangent here, but how people can criticize a running back for being too small, but yet not doing it for quarterbacks. Like you're seeing quarterbacks like Kyler Murray, who's like 5'8", 5'9", or whatever size. I don't know, Hobbit size. Who cares, right? Like, they're getting drafted in the first round, right? And everyone keeps saying, "Oh, he's not tall enough," but yeah, he's still going to be the first round draft. Well, if that's the case, and you're looking at the stats and the playing style of Deuce Vaughn, why is he being shifted so far back into this round? It just kind of it leaves a big question mark on that, but the evidence is in the tape. Vaughn is a good player, right? And it's not. And we can talk about the moment he got drafted by his dad in the war room, which is a fantastic moment. But they obviously did their homework, and his dad's saying, "My son won't disappoint you." Blah 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 blah. He's coming into a team where he's got a good backroom staff that's going to be there to support him and actually help elevate him. So I think it's going to be one of those draft picks that's like, wow, why did he not get draft sooner?
Yeah, and I mean this wasn't a homer pick. I mean, Chris Vaughn took himself out of the room anytime they were talking about running backs as well, so that he couldn't influence the rankings or anything like that. Yeah. And you know, it's you can say, "Oh, it's favoritism," but it's not.
Definitely not.
He's walked out of this, and you know, Jerry wouldn't. You know, Jerry wouldn't invest draft capital in something like this for a feel good story. Even though you know it's been spun with a positive PR, it's not something that Jerry would do because Jerry knows that his own personal window is closing. So just to go back on something as well, Paul, Mike Solari, I was 1 when he started coaching high school offensive lines.
That's crazy.
So that's 48 years. That
he was an assistant under the Tom Landry era. Like, I think it was like special teams at the time. Then
special teams in the assistant offensive line.
That's right. And here's another thing to think about, and people are like, well, it's more kind of common here in the UK, like because obviously we don't have the type of athleticism, but I tend to find where the smaller the running back, the more you can get to these nicks and cranks and the gaps. Like there's a more potential you can get non-tackled, because if you're the bigger guy, you're more likely to get caught up. The more small you are, like it's just like simple size and math, pretty much. I'm kind of thinking it from that perspective. So again, even for the inside run, if there's a tight window, Deuce Vaughn has a more likely chance to fit through that gap rather than Tony Pollard or Malik Davis or Rico Dowdle has. Especially Rico Dowdle, who is the biggest. When you put yin and yang together, who's going to fit in the smaller gap? It's going to be Deuce Vaughn.
Yeah. Like I'm going to give my own take on Deuce Vaughn here, because I've watched him a lot over the last 2 years, and Lauren will agree with me on this. He played in the Big 12 at TCU. He broke the hearts of Texas Longhorns. Kansas State. I always get that wrong. He broke.
This is just because you're wearing the same color of shirt, because you're wearing a Washington one and they're purple.
I am. Yeah. He broke Longhorn hearts. Like game on game on game, he absolutely broke our hearts. He is a very good player, and as you guys said, he's not a feel-good story. This is a guy, we've picked him in the 6th round. How often do the Cowboys get value in the 6th round? Anthony Brown,
almost every year.
Davon Fraser. You know, they're guys I can think of straight off the bat. So I think this guy, and I'm going to ask you, Graham, do you think he has potential to be running back too?
I think he's certainly being brought in to be running back 3.
Yeah.
You know, the day before the draft, in that running back room, they had Davis, Dowdle, Jones, and they still felt the need to bring in Vaughn. Now, why did they do that? Because they weren't
Yep.
set at
There you
what
go.
they had.
Yep.
So
Yep.
they've brought in Dowdle and Jones, obviously, as insurance. They want, I think they want Davis to be in that room as well. But they still felt the need to bring in a difference maker at running back. And I think that's telling. I think they have hopes that he's certainly number 3 at least.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah. So the last guy that we're going to talk about, this is the last guy on the roster that we're going to talk about, is obviously fullback Hunter Luepke from North Dakota State, a bulldozer of a man. I've already been seeing Twitter lighting up with the chance of Moose. So what are your thoughts on Hunter Luepke?
Just from the get-go, at least we've got a proper fullback who can actually play running back as well, and for the first time in a long time.
Yeah.
So again, it's going to be another compliment to the run game and also special teams. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Because he could potentially be a returner as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for a guy like Luepke as well, you know, the West Coast offense, if you go back to the days of, again, the 1989 49ers, you had guys like Tom Rathman. You've got with the 49ers this year, you've got Juszczyk. These guys, yes, they were
That's a good comparison. Yep.
They were fullback size, but they were more than just fullback. They were able to go out and occupy another position. They could go out again and be in slot. They could line up as a tight end. And I think Luepke actually, and there was a comment earlier as well, and it was discussed this week on, I think it was Talking Cowboys or The Break as well, that Luepke could actually take the spot of Sean McKeon or something like that. You could go short at tight end because he can fill in that tight end. There's so much that you can do with him. And again, going back to where we were talking about what do you do in goal line situation, the last couple of years when we've gone into goal line situation, we've finessed it almost by bringing in an offensive lineman to play fullback. This year, if you've got a true fullback coming in and clearing the way, much like Keith Smith did for us, you know, if you got somebody like that, it allows somebody like Tony Pollard to have an open alleyway into the end zone. So I really like this pickup, and I'm really surprised that he didn't get drafted and that we were able to pick up his services as a UDFA.
See, this is the thing, right? So every PFF scouting report and stuff like that, not scouting report, but every mock draft I've seen, Hunter Luepke was pretty much the 7th round draft pick for the Cowboys. I've seen he was always available, the best player available, like in all the mock drafts from PFF to the Pro Football Network ones, like all the other mock drafts. Hunter Luepke was always in there in the 7th round as that best player available for what we need and potentially and BPA. And I generally thought he would have got drafted. And the fact that we managed to get him an undrafted free agent, which is pretty much a massive free-for-all, which we all know, try and get, the fact we managed to get his services and get him onto the Cowboys squad is a big win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would certainly be nice to put him in on some I formation in front of some pretty slight running backs, let's be honest. I mean, if you're going to go with Vaughn, it'd be good to put him in there to clear a running lane.
Absolutely. What's that one family? What's up, guys? Our good friends in California. What's happening? But yeah, he will be a great compliment for Pollard, 100%. Dive or option for 100%. Yeah. I'm just even visualizing the idea what you just mentioned there, Graham, the I formation. You've got your fullback who'll just go straight towards the inside, like the A gap, and just take out the blitz. And there's your gap right there. Like, you imagine Luke Cage just going. Do you imagine just Luke Cage just going in there and just bulldoze a linebacker like, I don't know, Bobby Wagner for the Seahawks, for example?
I mean, think of some of the D lines around the NFC East.
Yes.
You know, and also like looking at the schedule, we've to go to Washington in January. We've to go to Buffalo in December. We're at Lincoln Field in November. You know, that we're going to have to run the ball in some pretty rough places towards the end of the season. So
colder places like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to add on to your point, Graham. And to be fair, Ultra Cowboy has been screaming this all show, and I wasn't ignoring you with what you were saying. With Schoonmaker as well, he's a guy who you can use as block. So if you want to go big on your goal line situations, you're playing with Schoonmaker at tight end. You can bring in Hendershot as a tight end as well. You can have Lukey in there. You can add in Deuce Vaughn or one of the other running backs. So the running backs they've picked up seem to have given them options to work on during OTAs, during the preseason section.
I think that's the direction what they're trying to go with this West Coast offense. It's like they want to have options available, like, and have all. It doesn't matter who you put up. Like if it's Shoemaker on the blocking or it's Luke Kay in the blocking, it's like you know your role and do it. Just do your job. It's like it shouldn't matter who you fit into the mold. If it's I formation or have two tight ends stacked on the line as well. Like it shouldn't really matter. It's like you're trying to cover all bases and have that flexibility within the team and keep other teams guessing. That's what I'm kind of thinking what McCarthy's trying to achieve here.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you all a freebie, right? Before we start ranking our running backs and who we think will make the roster. 30 seconds each. Is there a running back out there who's A, available, or B, might be available, or C, who might be cut that you would consider picking up?
For me, the only one I would maybe bring back is Zeke. Derek Henry, if he became available, it'd be a great ground and pound guy. But again, it's money. Dalvin Cook, much the same there as well. And Dalvin Cook has been injured the last couple of years. There's been injuries which have kept him off the field. I think there's been concussions, that sort of thing as well. So Zeke would be my choice.
Okay. Paul, give us yours. And don't say Zeke, give us someone different.
I'm going to say...
Graham, you can think who you want after Paul.
You know what? I'm gonna have faith in the team right now. I'm going to say bring in no one. Okay. Because I want to see how we're going to do with our cards being dealt right now. Like, obviously the biggest concerns, Paul, are like, should we get another running back to help cover that for that replacement in case he's not fully 100%? That's the only thing. But I'm sure there is cheaper options, like of a running back is maybe not in the price range of Henry or Cook or even Zeke. And oh God, I just seen Labarski's comment there. Labarski, please stop, dude. If you trade him if we can get him for a 7th rounder, then cool, sounds not a problem. But
a 6th for Kyle Pitts and a 7th for Bijan Robinson. How does that?
Why not? The Falcons are struggling anyways. No, but like I'll say this: like I do like I said, I do like Bijan. I just didn't like the idea of us drafting in the first round for an hour running back. It just made no sense compared to when you see other teams doing the running back by committee, and it was being more successful. That was my only problem of drafting a running back, and there was other needs that we needed to address. So, but anyway, moving on. But yeah, deal with the cards what we've been dealt. But I don't know who would be available other than the names I just mentioned. That's the only thing.
Graham, over to you. Is there anyone who you would like, a Zeke, a Derrick Henry, a Dalvin Cook, that maybe becomes available, or like Paul, are you happy to roll with what we have?
Roll the dice.
Or Leonard Fournette.
Oh, that's
Leonard Fournette's a free agent.
That's
and he's a big body back that I don't think we have. He's been there, done it. Super Bowl winner. I'm not sure what his cap number is, though. I wonder if he's a free agent, basically because he's waiting on an injury. He's waiting on a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
My prediction would be that he's given his agent a number. I am not playing for less than X.
2 million or something like that.
Yeah.
See, that's a good shout. I hadn't even thought about Fournette. That's a good shout. Like, he has been a starter. He's got the experience. He's won a Super Bowl. He'll be the lower end of cost to bring in and can still work in within the rotation side of things. So, yeah, I would not be against that. And I'm sure Dave Helmer will be over the moon with that one for sure.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm not sure on is his character.
Yeah.
Not sure on his character.
He had a... Let's see back. That's the thing. We all do like Derrick Henry. We all do, but we just know it's going to cost us. See, this is the comment I was going to bring up from One Star One Family. Mark Ingram would be another shout as well. Fast experience. He's still got. He might not have many years left in the tank, but it'd definitely be a cheaper option. But you can still provide the service.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask the three of you amongst yourselves to organize these 6 guys and decide: are we going to carry 3? Are we going to carry 4? Are we going to carry 3 and a fullback? So you are Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, and Will McClay. You can decide whichever one you want to be. But give me your running back 1, your running back 2, running back 3. And you can put Lukey in there as whatever number you want. You can carry him as running back if you want.
Okay. So obviously, based on how things stand right now, Pollard is by cost will be your number 1. Then I'm going to say this one will be the number 2. He will be.
Right.
Then it's going to be Davis. And I'm going for the fullback of Lupke.
Okay. So you're cutting Ronald Jones and Rico Dowdle.
Yeah. I think Jones. Oh, actually. Yeah, Davis might be a bit of it might be a 50-50 with Jones, perhaps.
Yeah.
It just depends how they do well in camp more than anything. I think in terms of as things stand right now, Pollard, Vaughn, Davis, Lupke for now.
Yeah.
But things could change, but definitely with the number 3 running back spot for sure.
Yeah.
I think you try and get Ronald Jones onto the practice squad as one of the veteran practice squad players. Daldo, I think you move on from unless Davis screws the pooch this off season and hasn't developed the maturity that you're talking about. But I think the fact that Deuce Vaughn, you spent draft capital. Mike McCarthy hasn't. The only draft capital that he has wasted effectively is Ridgeway, who, they tried to play it cute and get him onto the practice squad or try and keep him. And Washington jumped in and took him. That's the only guy that we've, until recently, we've lost Danucci now, but that's the only guys that you've at least kept them on the roster for a couple of years as well. So I think you'll see Vaughn makes the squad. I think Lupke makes the squad as well, whether it's at the expense of another tight end. But I think you're going to go three running backs and fullback.
Yeah. Graham? You have the casting votes here.
Under pressure. Dun, 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 dun,
no.
dun, dun.
I'm gonna go with. I mean, Pollard at number 1. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go Davis number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Vaughan number 3, because I still think they've drafted him for a reason. They're not happy with the current stable, so I'm gonna go Vaughan number 3, and I'm gonna go Luke and Jones on the practice squad. And I'll tell you why, because I can't remember a fullback being kept. In recent years they've put a guard in. They've put
Jameez Olawale. A couple of years ago, they carried him for a season and a half.
The whole season.
Whole season, yeah.
Never really utilised them. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think
special teams guy. Like, don't forget they also need to carry someone for special teams, which is the benefit for Taylor Lupke. He can do the special teams thing.
Hunter Lupke.
Hunter, yes.
Yep.
If he's going to play special teams, then yeah, maybe he makes a squad. But they've put guards in there. They could easily put Schoonmaker in there.
Yeah.
It's from my knowledge of it, they've always put in somebody. Oh yeah, and he can play fullback as well. They've never kept an actual. I play fullback, and that's what I do. It's been a guard. It's been a tight end. If he makes a special team squad, then yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the last time we really did keep a proper fullback was Keith Smith. Like, he was actually heavily involved both on offense and on special teams. That was the last time we had that, and we saw how successful Smith was under Zeke. So, and BG's in the house. Greetings, good sir. Hope you're well, my friend.
I'm sorry, you were just saying something there, Paul. Was Rod Smith not fullback as well?
No, he was just.
Or was he running back?
Yeah, he was running back number 3 behind. Zeke and Paul. No, was he under Pollard?
No,
Zeke and McFadden.
McFadden. No, you're right. It was McFadden, and there was also Alfred Morris. That was the other one.
Yes. You're right. Lubarski's just made an interesting point, and Graham, I'm going to throw this over as a resident Green Bay expert. McCarthy does love to carry a full back, and he did tend to carry a full back in Green Bay. Does that strengthen the case, considering you can now have 55 on the roster?
I mean,
that be head moving.
He's not done it yet. Really, I mean, what's he been waiting for? I would say they run the ball an awful lot more in Green Bay for obvious reasons. I don't know, with the increased squad, maybe.
Well, they definitely ran the ball a lot more in the first 2 seasons of Eddie Lacy. Then they kind of went away from it for a wee while.
Yeah.
Then they went back. Was it Montgomery after that?
Ty Montgomery, yeah.
Yeah. Like from wide receiver. He was a wide receiver originally, and he became their running back or something.
Yeah, he was a bit of everything. He was the original Cordarrelle Patterson.
I mean, I can't go over seeing a Conor McGovern or a Connor Williams in at fullback.
No,
you know, your job is go and hit him. And they do that on offensive line anyway. So, you're not expecting them to split out wide and catch a touchdown pass.
Yeah, this comment from DJ Dog, that is definitely 100% true. Keith Smith was originally a linebacker. He joined the Cowboys as a linebacker at first and converted to a fullback. And we saw the transformation and became a full-time fullback. And we're seeing what he's done for the Falcons over the years. He's been great for them, helping Patterson out. And as much as I hate to say it, but I think he's going to do a great job helping Bijan out.
Yeah, absolutely, he will.
Mm.
But look, guys, we're an hour and 15 minutes in, so unless there's anything else, I think we'll start the wrapping up process, will we?
Oh, Dallas forever, Philly forever, as usual.
Just on my choices, it wouldn't surprise me if they did keep Luke, because, like Paul said all off season, who's the pass protection? Who is it? You know, Vaughn. It's not Pollard.
Nope.
Vaughn is slighter than Pollard.
Mm.
So unless it's Davis, who's it going to be?
Has to be Luke. Has to be.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you're not going to have a fullback and a running back there. Like, you're not just going to have a single running back to help accommodate, help protect that Prescott when it comes to those situations. You're going to have to need that more physical presence, which is Hunter Luke, who is 6'1", 230 pounds. He's a good, big, decent sized body to play that position. So,
Yeah.
My other
the
thought on
basket.
it-
Oh, don't be sorry. I know you're having fun, my friend.
At least you're getting it this week, not Graham. But Graham, go on ahead.
Graham gets it
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah, get on. See when you think, no matter who they're putting in there, it's a rookie.
Yeah.
It's going to be Shoemaker, rookie, Luke, rookie,
Okay.
a guard who's possibly a rookie. It's very, very young. It's very, very young, and it's inexperienced, and it's not Zeke, and that's scary.
I wouldn't say it's scary because we just don't know. It's very uncharted territory.
Yeah.
I think that's the only way we're saying it's scary, because we just don't know the answer yet. We just don't know how these players are going to adapt to this system and how effective they're going to be utilized to see how things are going to pan out. So until we see proper training camp going on one-on-one with 11 versus 11 on training camp or pre-season, we're not going to know that till then, really.
Yeah.
The two telling weeks of the season. Week 8, we play Aaron Donald, and in week 9, we play Fletcher Cox. So let's see what happens in those two.
I'm glad you mentioned Fletcher Cox and not about the other players that they've got in that defensive line. I'd be more worried about those guys, to be honest.
Yep.
Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham are still the dogs.
They're still the dogs, but
when their first round picks turn up, let me know.
Sorry, are we playing Philadelphia or are we playing Georgia? That's what I want to know.
Yep.
We might be playing them in Georgia.
Oh,
Between the hedges.
Fantastic. I just seen one fan's comment, because those guys always go over there pretty much every year, I believe, because obviously they're not far from Oxnard, so that's fantastic.
So look, we'll wrap it up. Paul, give the shout out.
Yes, guys, if you're planning on going to a Dallas Cowboys game this year, be sure to contact cowboysexperience.com for meet and greets, game tickets, stadium tours, tailgating, and much, much more. As you can see in the screen, you've got likes of Micah Parsons, Lincoln Coleman, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, Hall of Famer Drew Pearson, Jay Novacek, and many other more players you can get to meet in the flesh.
Yeah. And what do we need to do?
Use the discount code UK Cowboys. And guys, what do you get if you use the code?
You get free stuff.
Get free stuff.
And
chocolate pudding. Graham, if you want to give out
one day somebody's going to turn up at one of these things and demand chocolate pudding, and we're going to put somebody on the spot.
I could just imagine it now at one of the events this year. It's like someone's going to go to Barry Griffith, who owns. It's like, I used the discount code. Do you have any chocolate pudding? And be like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like, I just gave you some free memorabilia, and all you're concerned about is chocolate pudding. What?
Can you imagine? He's kept a tray of it in the truck. Brings it out, and it's like coffee.
If there's any Texas companies that does chocolate puddings, please get sure you get in touch with Cowboys Experience to help the hook up.
Graham, if you want to give the friends of the show a shout out.
Yeah, make sure you check out all our friends of the show. Obviously, there's no football to talk about right now, so you need as much online content as you can get. Make sure to check out Cowboys Fans Only, Big James, Skywalker Steel. We've had them all on the show. Great content across the World Wide Web, and they will fill your Sunday nights until we see some actual football.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Lauren, I'll leave the last one to you.
Okay, well, as we've been plugging for a number of months now, obviously we've got the 2023 Thanksgiving Day package now that we're going across. All the details are on the Facebook group. By all means, drop by, get in contact with Cowboys Experience and get booked up as well. Obviously, most of us are going out. There's a few no-shows this year. But we're... sorry, Graham. And, there's lots of meets and greets, and we're already talking Sam Williams, some big names as well. So, and there's going to be events on. You get to hang out with us guys, and we'll get a few beers in as well.
Not to mention as well, other excluding ourselves, I think there's at least 14 people from the UK are going to this. At least 14.
Yeah.
Not to mention, we've got the guys from Big D Germany, Deutschland, Thomas. He's coming over for the game. And I think he's going to be in the same flight as us that week. And hey, there we go. And and also we've got our friends from Canada, Cowboys Can Fan. They're all coming over to the Thanksgiving game. So it's going to be a massive international Thanksgiving extravaganza, pretty much. So it keeps going back to what we keep saying. The Dallas Cowboys are the biggest team in America, but they certainly are becoming the world's team.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul getting in the plug for his own show on Saturday, dropping Sunday with beautiful and wonderful Miss Meg Murray.
Drops every Saturday. Sorry, drops every Saturday.
There we go.
There we go.
So it's a good night for me. The team will be back. Mike will be back in the chair next Thursday night. I think it's going to be talking about wide receiver group. So it's a good night from me, and I'll pass it off to you, gentlemen.
Yeah, have a great week, guys, and catch you next week when we'll be talking another position, breaking it down.
See you next time.
See you next week.